Okay, good day guys, good day to you all. Welcome back to the Formula Sports channel. Thanks for being here. A gentle reminder as always to please like the video and subscribe to the channel, as it is indeed a free way to support the channel. And a big shout out as always to those who usually support. We do appreciate it. So guys, I want to talk a little bit about a particular article that came out in the Jamaica Observer. Not the entire article, just one particular section of the article that I know would have caught many people's attention. And that was the part where Theodore Whitmore spoke about overseas born or UK born players playing in the national setup without documents, right? Theodore Whitmore said in the article, and I'm quoting him here because the Observer has the quotation marks, he said that is a concern with regards to some players without passport, but we have to take some licks for that situation, right? Personally, I don't believe any player should represent the country and don't have Jamaican citizenship or don't have a Jamaican passport. And if my memory serves me well, I think it's a long-standing policy of the Federation, right? So that is basically what Theodore Tappa Whitmore said. And I know that it grabbed people's attention and it grabbed my attention as well. For starters, it grabbed people's attention because there's always been rumors that Theodore Whitmore doesn't fancy these UK born players. Now, I don't know if that is true, but there's always been rumors saying that, right? I cannot say whether that's true or not, right? So I think because of those rumors, that's one reason why it grabbed these particular statements, grabbed people's attention, right? I will say this. I want to address these particular comments. That's why I'm doing this video. I understand where Theodore Tappa Whitmore is coming from, right? I just respectfully disagree. One, I think that Theodore Whitmore is saying that, and Theodore probably needs to articulate all of this because it's such a, well, it's not really a vague statement, but you need to give reasons, right? I personally think that because Theodore Tappa Whitmore, what is taking place now is that some of the players that Tappa would have been playing in these friendly games, right? It is looking as if they are not going to make the Gold Cup squad. And so I think Tappa is a bit frustrated from the standpoint that he's probably saying that he could have given playing opportunities to other people, right, who are definitely sure to make are sure to be eligible for the Gold Cup squad. So I think that's the main issue at play here. He would have been trying to prepare with some players that at the end of the day he's not going to be able to have available to him at the Gold Cup. And also I do think there are some sentimental issues at play here in terms of, it's from a patriotic standpoint, it's not a good look when you have players representing a country that don't have citizenship or passport. So while I agree with, while I understand those points and I see where Theodore Whitmore is coming from, I respectfully disagree. I think we should use this and continue going forward with bringing in UK born players into the fold and playing them regardless of whether they have gotten their citizenship and passport or not. And I'll tell you why. But before I go into that, could this potentially create division? Could these statements by Theodore Tappa Whitmore potentially create division amongst UK born players who don't have passports? How do they feel, or who don't have citizenship or passports? How do they feel? They hear the head coach say something like that, right? Could it potentially, let me know in the comments if it was better that Theodore Tappa Whitmore kept this to himself, right? So that's the first issue at play here. But to be honest with you, I disagree with Tappa because for starters, the process to get a passport sometimes can be so long, as we have seen with some of these players, right? Gray has been trying to put together his thing for a long time, right? He has been trying for a while. and by a while I mean like years if I'm not mistaken. Also look at Akima Roof. He has applied, for months ago. He has applied months ago, and he's just getting it. He is just getting his documents, all of his documents, citizenship and passport, from what we understand. So the process can be so long and drawn out that we want the players in the national program as quickly as possible, right? We don't want this devil a long time, right? We know that the players are coming in and they can't, come into the squad and be a part of the program. We want the players in as soon as possible for many reasons that I will touch on or that I will go into, right? But sometimes the process to get the documents can be so long, man, and so drawn out, right? Years before we potentially see players who start the process, right? Like a Gray, even a more to a lesser extent. So that's the first thing. Secondly, the players, the UK born players, need as much time as possible to integrate with the local players, both on a personal level and also on the field as well, right? We're talking about on and off field chemistry, on and off field gelling. It is very important, right? From a personal standpoint, a lot of people are always talking about, oh, we are one Jamaica and we are all Jamaicans, and when referring to the segment of the UK born players and the local players. While that may be true, while we are one Jamaica, the fact of the matter is there are major social differences between both the UK born players and the local born players, right? Especially the UK born players who are not too versed, because not all of them, are versed in the ways of our culture, Some are more versed than others, and you'd be surprised to know some of them aren't that versed in the ways of our culture and of our people and of our just basically how we move and how our attitudes and stuff like that, and our personality and stuff like that. So the players, the UK born players, need time to gel, both off the field and also on the field as well. On the field, chemistry is important as well, to understand each other's games, to understand each other's personal traits on the pitch, and to understand each other's game. It is very important, right? And we need to bring in the UK born players as quickly as possible to facilitate this particular gelling process and this particular chemistry building process, right? So as I said, while I understand where Tappa is coming from, I think from a practical standpoint, it is better that we get these players in as quickly as possible for them to adapt and for them to gel. Adapt to the difference in culture and difference in attitudes and difference in social behavior, whatever you want to call it, and also to gel quickly as possible. Another issue at play here, right? Another issue at play is also bringing them in to get all of this process out of the way for the major tournaments, right? Because what is taking place right now is that these players are just getting their documents in time to play the major tournaments. As a matter of fact, all of them haven't gotten their documents as yet, right? And let's say, for instance, Lowe, Bell, Pinnock, Casey Palmer, Harding. Let's say, for instance, these players, right? I don't think Barnes has his documents as already either. Correct me if I'm wrong. Correct me in the comment section if I'm wrong. But what happened to all of these players, right? If they weren't able to play without their documents, they'd be just coming in, and what you'd have is a massive influx coming in on the eve of the big tournament, right? All of this gelling, all of this chemistry building, right, would not have, it took place to a certain extent. Obviously, it could have happened on a bigger scale because the full squad wasn't there. But it has happened to a certain extent already, right? And my thing is that to have all of that take place on the eve of a major tournament, right? And then you also have to remember that there's pressure on the boys to win the tournament because many believe that the boys can win the tournament. All of that stress for a major tournament or a major competitive tournament like the Gold Cup, to have them building chemistry and on the field and off the field chemistry. I mean, on the field chemistry would be impossible to build. You'll be building that during the tournament, and also to have them building on the field chemistry, right? Rather, off the field chemistry. It's too short a time period, right? So my thing is get the players in as early as possible with or without documents to work on these things. You also have to bear in mind as well that the UK born players have never been exposed to an environment that is so unprofessional. Remember, a lot of these UK born players are coming up through academies from there were some of them kids. They are used to nothing but the heights of professionalism. It would be a major culture shock, right, for them to experience when they come into our national setup, because they have never experienced unprofessionalism like this. They have never encountered a setup like this, right, with such gross unprofessionalism and, no preparation or little preparation. Many of the UK born players have never experienced anything like this. They need to be given a learning curve. They need to be given time to adjust to this level of unprofessionalism. We have heard stories of UK born players coming out here, and when they see the unprofessionalism, they're like, hell no, right? And they say that they're not coming back again, and they don't come back again. We have heard those stories before, right? Don't be surprised you see a UK born player come out here and he only play 1-2 games and you don't see him back after, and you think it's the JFF not picking them. It's not so sometimes. From what we have heard from credible sources, right, that some of these UK born players, they come out here, they see the setup and they're like, hell no, I can't deal with this. I'm not cut out for this, right? So it's a major culture shock for them. They need time to adjust. They need time to learn. You can't just bring them in on the eve of a major tournament in such a stressful environment, on the eve of a tournament where there's expectations and hope and all of that sort of stuff, and expect them to adapt to all of this so quickly, right? Also, the fact of the matter is, the earlier you bring in these players into the setup, it's the more likely that they will want to be a part of the program long term, because they are already in it. So let's say, for instance, a player, at some point in time is having doubts or changing his mind or whatever, right? It is more likely that they will stay rather than go, because they are already in it, right? They are already in it, right? So that's another thing we have to look at. And then you also have to look at it from the perspective as well that suppose these players catch form and hit the England radar, right? Even though they are still eligible for England and they could go and represent England, right? It is going to be less likely for them to bail on JA, in my opinion, because they are already in our program. They are already in it, right? So it's going to be a lot difficult, or a lot more difficult, while still possible, but a lot more difficult for them to leave our program and go into the England national program, because they are already in our program, right? So I understand those are some of the reasons why I disagree with Theodore Tappa Whitmore. I understand completely where he is coming from, right? But I think the positives of having them play without the passports and the citizenship until they get it, I think the positives outweigh the negative, in my opinion, right? That's just my thing. I think it's a risk worth taking, because I think the positives outweigh the negatives, right? But I do understand where Theodore Tappa Whitmore is coming from. Much respect to our head coach, Theodore Tappa Whitmore. He has a lot dealing with. He has a lot on his plate to deal with. I just respectfully disagree with him on this one, and I think he's doing a good job with what he has been given to work with, right, by the Jamaica Football Federation. So guys, that's my 2 cents. Stay safe, take care, and until next time.